Welcome to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast with your host, award-winning realtor Matt Glenn, and top-producing mortgage broker Taylor Atkinson. Professionals in the industry, enthusiastic entrepreneurs, and successful investors. When it comes to real estate, we're all in.
Okay, welcome back to the show, guys. Kelowna Real Estate Podcast coming to you live. Well, it's not live, I guess, if you're listening to it.
This whole time we've been live?
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta say, I love your stash.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's November. I've got a mustache.
Are you raising money for it?
I'm not, but we are raising money. I mean, this is a current question of ours for 'Tis the Season and talking about charities. So we are doing our annual Christmas party, raising money for local families. So anyways, I just avoided your question about the mustache. No, I just do it because I love mustaches.
The whole time, microphone was in front of the stash, so it was like hidden the whole time. The people are not going to be able to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. I know. I got to get it out there for the fans to enjoy.
It's awesome. I've been seeing some actually really nice stashes.
Yeah.
Yours counts, honestly.
Thank you.
So
appreciate it.
I feel like I'm kind of missing the boat here.
Hey, I've got a razor. We could do this right now. We could do this live, a live stream. We need to get Dina back on to set our cameras up. Hey guys, if you have been enjoying the show or my mustache, we don't ask for this ever, but we did think it would be great if we could get some reviews on whatever platform you guys are listening on, Spotify, Apple, Google, etc.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Just a 5-star. Saying you like Matt's laugh or something like that would be great.
That goes without saying, dude.
Yeah. And obviously share it with friends. We are gaining a ton of momentum, but yeah, we want to see that carry on to the new year. So
yeah, that would help us out a lot.
Yeah. Our producer said if we didn't reach 1 million views, then she'd be cutting us. So yeah, we got to get going. Today we interview Michael from Duval Property Management.
I think this episode's coming out like the day Big White opens, right?
Yeah. That was planned.
Yeah, good.
Speaking of plans, we speak a lot about the Big White official plan moving forward. And
the rental market.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So if you do want to chat to somebody that's knowledgeable about the industry up there, short-term rental market, certain properties, reach out to his team. They're awesome.
I want to ask you, Taylor, about this, the interest rates, fixed rates coming down a bit.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
They're at zero. Free money for everyone. So we have seen over the past almost 4 weeks now, the bond market has been like steadily coming down, down. Usually the bond market's what we call like the smart money. So fixed rates follow that. We haven't been seeing fixed rates fall as aggressively as the bond market. So what happened in the spring with the American banking system, when that kind of crashed, then the bond market in Canada did as well. And fixed rates like plummeted instantly, basically. Yeah. Right now, they're more stabilized. That's probably a good thing in terms of rates. If they do come down, will probably stay a little bit lower. Instead of in the spring, it was just a blip. It came down and it bounced back up. Yeah. So we have seen a lot of lenders over the last week or two reduce them slightly. I think there's still quite a bit of room for them to go. And usually when fixed rates come down, that's the indicator that variable will potentially come down as well. So I don't want to be like being an optimistic person about this.
Because aren't they based on different things?
They are slightly, but it's still like based on like it's driven from the economy. And like the Bank of Canada is mandated to try and curb inflation, but they've also just come out recently to say, okay, we may not change the field goal in terms of they still want to get to that 2%. But as long as now that they're trending towards the 2%, they may look at softening their interest rate policy. And I think they're doing that because they also feel that people are getting slightly complacent with where interest rates are now, and people are okay with this inflationary market. So if they continue to rise interest rates or keep them high, then everyone's monthly budget is still high and we're kind of chasing our tail with inflation. So there are a lot of economists that are predicting April 2024 and May 2024 is when we will see the first rate cut. But all those guys have been wrong for the last 18 months. So who knows?
Well, what do you think? So if you take advantage of a lower fixed rate right now, are you going to miss the boat when the variable come down? Or like how do you...
Potentially. But to be honest, variable, like say a 5-year fixed and the discount on prime, like the variable, they're starting to get closer. Like the discount on prime is starting to come back. Okay. So maybe 5-6 months ago, it was prime minus, let's say 0.2 for a certain type of purchase, like a non-insured, like 20% down or more. Now you're starting to see that, prime minus 0.4. So the discount's coming back a little bit more. So it's slightly more competitive. So I have had a couple clients recently that are like, you know what? I feel that rates are going to come down still. I'll go with a variable for the next year. And then, if I think fixed rates are down low enough, then I'll switch into that fixed. Yeah. It's kind of case by case still, but yeah.
Interesting times ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, enjoy the show, guys. And thanks in advance for the reviews. Really appreciate them.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Okay. Welcome to the show, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Okay. We like to start our show, just you connecting with our listener. Just tell us about your perfect Friday and what kind of things do you do work wise leading into the weekend that's fun?
Well, I'm just going to keep this big white sort of focused, I guess. Probably starting perfect Friday would be hitting the slopes on a powder day, let's say.
Ski or snowboard?
Snowboard.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, probably getting out early, doing a couple laps at least, and then coming in and getting some work done that I have to. And
where's the go-to chair for a powder day? Actually, maybe I don't want you telling people. Then ruin it. Yeah.
I've been up there a fair amount. I know the good spots. So I'll keep that private.
Right. And then, you're running around doing some management tasks up there in the afternoon, or? Yeah,
I do most of my work is generally on the computer at home. Needed to go somewhere sometimes, but most of the time it's at home. So I get that benefit of if I don't book any meetings in the morning, I can go and get some stuff done and have some fun and then come back and get some work done and go wherever I need to in the afternoon.
Cool. And you're living up there right now, right?
Yeah. And so in the winters, I live up there generally because I feel like if we're providing that kind of service of property management up there, we should have someone on that.
Yeah.
So I volunteered.
Yeah.
So is your company mostly in Big White? I know you do Kelowna too, but.
No, I'd say we're a bit half and half right now.
Okay.
Our portfolio. We're growing substantially this year. We've seen a lot of growth up at Big White, but also down in Kelowna for long-term property management as well.
Yeah. So talk about the topic of the day. Your business taking a hit with the short-term rental thing. Do you think more people are going to go to Big White because of that? Or what do you think?
I think so. It's one of those areas. It's so much uncertainty right now, but it's one of those areas that people can for sure go to knowing that there won't be so much play for government to be a role in.
Yeah.
So I think so. And you've seen that just in the growth of how many Airbnbs and STRs are really up there. Last year there was about approximately 400 or so. Just checked this morning actually, and we're sitting at around 600.
Wow.
Yeah.
What? So, really?
Yeah. So I don't know, the growth, was it all this year? Or maybe it's definitely not new homes, but you're seeing a lot of people pretty much 2020 post for the COVID boom. That's when people sold. Airbnb investors came in and just that market has exploded up there.
Yeah.
And I think probably what's happening down in Kelowna or eventually is going to increase the numbers of Big White.
I'm interested to see if the extra 200 units came on because of maybe people are in more of a financial stress position.
Like not using them themselves.
Maybe they bought, 3 or 4 years ago and they're just using it as a vacation property, as a lot do. And, rates have gone up or their budget's kind of out of whack a little bit. And they thought, well, we either need to sell it or we need to recoup some cash. Just seems crazy that, 200 units came on when they only had 400 last year.
It
seems huge growth.
Somewhere in the 400.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, in terms of Big White or resort style property like that, the benefit of short-term rental is that people get to use it recreationally and still, try to make some money on it. Where if they went full long-term, they're not seeing it for the whole season. And, if you're purchasing up there, you sort of want to use it. You're obviously someone that likes to go skiing or go riding, and you're going to want to use it. So there's also a battle there where, staff are struggling to find places up there.
Yeah.
So how lucrative is the market in the summer at Big White for STRs?
For short term?
Yeah.
We've tried that in previous summers and it didn't go very well. We saw just last year, we had a 2-bed, 2-bath condo, probably saw, and this was in the heart of the village, which is, a pretty big.
The easiest sell.
Yeah. And we only saw about 4 bookings in the summer and it was just, we tried, but you just can't compete. There's so much supply. And people drop their prices drastically. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense yet. But I know Big White, I can see down the road, Big White can become a lot better in that aspect.
When the golf courses come
When
online.
the golf courses come online. I mean, 2017 was when the bike park started. So
Yeah.
Is that it?
It's pretty new. Yeah.
Wow.
Silver Star's super established.
Yeah.
Sun Peak's super established. Whistler. Like, so those are three competitors that Big White's probably looking at in the summer and thinking, okay, there's a lot of room to grow here. And you see it. Like, I've been to Sun Peaks in the summer. I've been to all three of those in the summer. I actually haven't been to Whistler in the winter. Like, summer, I've heard Whistler's even busier. So
Yeah.
there's room to grow, but currently, no, it's not very valuable to be renting in the summer there.
So, I mean, speaking about that, have the master plan on our shared screen here. Looks incredible. Obviously, you don't know like the full details for timeframes and stuff, but yeah, we were talking about this off air. It is impressive. Like anyone
It's
that hasn't
ambitious.
seen this.
No doubt
It
about
is
it.
ambitious.
This is like doubling the size of the mountain.
Oh, yeah.
It is, yeah. What they have like another 5 or 6 chairs going in?
It's going to be, I forget the increase, but I think in total it's going to be around 37 ski lifts. In
Wow.
total. That's the master plan, is 37 ski lifts.
I mean, that's got to be the biggest ski mountain in Canada.
That's a good question. I didn't look into what the comparables would be to
Let's just make up a number.
Yeah.
37, that's insane.
I mean, if you look
Like
at,
I've skied Whistler. I don't feel they have that many.
I mean, just in this area. So, like,
Yeah.
Revelstoke have. They have a lot.
No.
Stokes early, they're young now.
Okay.
But there's room to grow there. But Kelowna, there's a lot of pros to Big White being where it is. It's very much alone. You know, if you look at the geography of it, it's one big mountain in the middle of it, nowhere. Like if you look at Revy, there's mountains everywhere. It's
Yeah.
a big mountain range.
Yeah.
Kelowna is just a one, and you know, it's flat. Not flat, but
Yeah.
that's the only mountain around. And you know, we're close to the airport. That's major
Yeah.
factor. We're only an hour away. You look at Revy, you got to fly into, you know, either Kelowna
Yeah.
or where would
Calgary or Kamloops. Yeah. Kelowna's your best bet.
Kelowna's
But
your best bet. So, you know, there's that risk factor there where Kelowna, we're still super close to Kelowna. So we have that room to bring in all these international visitors.
and do you know how many more residential units they're putting on in this plan?
Now, in the report, which came out October 2020, so late 2020, they don't have it per units or per houses. It's per bed units.
Oh.
So bed units are considered each room with a unit that is designated as a bedroom. So take that at will. Wasn't sure how to divvy that up in terms of if it's a 2-bed, 3-bed, but currently we're sitting at 10,533 bed units. So what their plan is, they're planning on an additional 20,600 bed units.
So they're going to like triple.
And that's not even the maximum based on their ratio that they can use to calculate how much they're allowed. And that's still below the maximum that they're allowed to apply for.
Is there a demand for that, you think? For triple the amount of beds?
Well, we're seeing about, 1 million resort guests a year right now. This master plan was pretty detailed. I recommend if you guys or anyone else is interested to have a read through it because it's pretty interesting. It goes into some pretty good detail, taking into consideration growth of Kelowna and things like that. And they think it makes sense. And I'm trusting on these guys. You know, they're some pretty smart people doing this. So if they think so, I'm all for it. And I think so as well.
Do you, maybe this is a Matt question, do you think home values will increase or decrease by this?
Honestly, the whole time I've been looking at this, I've been thinking that same thing. If you triple the amount of houses, they're coming down for sure.
But I mean, if
this
you,
is not going to happen,
if you-
like, this is not due by February.
yeah, but if
Right,
you
so
triple
like-
the amount of usable space and you have the customers there, like
Like, how much busier, though, can Highway 33 get? Like, I don't know, like,
talking about the ski run or the highway? Because that ski run sucks. Stay clear of that thing.
talking about the highway, you know, like that hairpin already gets a little, like, I don't know, to triple the amount of people. Like, obviously it's possible, but if you,
Kelowna will also equally be growing just as fast, you know? Like they have their own
yeah, that's true.
40
Yeah.
master plan.
I mean, they're not going to overbuild and tank values up there, right? Like
This is what I mean. Like, obviously they're not going to build 20,000 units in one shot.
yeah.
So, like, if they do it incrementally, I think it could work out pretty well.
Exactly. And you can see, so if you're looking at the map, this interactive model, red is what's proposed
Yeah.
or new. That up there is already built, and that's Feathertop. And that
Right, yeah.
that's already, you know, those are some nice homes around there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what I believe is this is going to be the next area where they're sort of growing. This is where you're already seeing a lot of infrastructure be done in the summer,
Yeah.
bringing in sewer, water lines, things like that. So there's a lot of active work in the summer going on.
So they've initiated this already.
Yeah,
Like it's
they've
going.
initiated this. And from what I've heard too, this is sort of going to be in terms of terrain that they open up. It's going to be this area. So it's going to be to the right of Black Forest.
Yeah. So anyone that, obviously listeners that can't see this, it's to the right of the Black Forest and going up towards East Peak.
Yeah. So East Peak's there. East Peak's right there. It's funny because when I'm on the chairlift and I'm looking at all this, because I've obviously read into this, it's hard for me to see the terrain that's steep enough.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Like when you're on that bottom cat track coming back from Black Forest, it's like, it looks like good snow down there, but it's pretty flat. Like,
but they obviously, they've paid some pretty qualified people to look at this, and if they think so, I'm all for it. I think the more terrain you open, the better.
Cool. And then golf courses. So you said they have 2 golf courses going up there?
Yeah, looking at a par 3 and then a full 18, down there. I don't know if that actually comes to fruition. I like the plan for it, but I don't think they're really going to make much money on that unless the demand is really there. I think what they're trying to do is compete with the Whistler-like model. Yeah. They just get tourism demand throughout the summer and the winter. There's no really a slow season for them.
Yeah. It would make sense if like it was a developer run golf course that wasn't really there to like revenue generate, but more to bring the people in to stay in the housing.
Well, and there's got to be a cost to not shutting down the mountain, but like de-staffing to the extent that they do now, right? Like,
and then all the training they have to do.
Yeah. Like you're probably better off to try and, even if it's not that profitable in the summer, to have continuous staff and things that operate.
Yeah, I think what they're trying to do is just make it as amenity rich as possible in the off season. They want to offer mountain biking and get that to a pretty established point. I think they mentioned something about like ATV sort of going out there, and then also golf. I'm a big golfer. I'm getting into it, so I would be stoked to see this happen.
That would be awesome. Probably be some pretty wicked holes for me to shank off of.
I think, maybe I could find some of my balls in the wintertime that I lose up there.
Lost ball advertising, like just crank some balls with my logo on into the woods.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So what's the most exciting area of Big White right now? Let's say like not futuristic planning, but for you, what do you like in terms of, properties that as you like to manage them or for investors to buy?
I mean, I think a unique factor of Big White, which I read, and I didn't know this, but it's considered their current state as they are right now, or of October 2020, is that every single unit of accommodation is considered 100% ski and ski out on the whole mountain, which the way I look at it, I think I could ski there. I don't know if the regular Jerry could, but it's like, I could get there. Enough speed.
Would probably agree.
I mean, it's pretty unique in that situation. There's not a lot like that. You look at Whistler, they only have a 20% for ski and ski out. So we are pretty unique in that area. If you go to other mountains, I've been to Red, I've been to Sun Peaks, Silver Star, you don't have that same effect where you can more or less get to your front door in some skis or snowboard. And it's pretty unique like that. So that's a major selling factor that I personally like. Although it's Big White as a whole, it's pretty unique of getting visitors outside of the regional area to come in. In terms of what I like as a property, I mean, the biggest thing that we get asked is, do you have a hot tub or is it a private hot tub? Yeah. I feel like that's the biggest.
You probably also get asked, has Taylor been in the hot tub?
It's brand new.
But they will pay more for that.
But that's the biggest one. And, I guess obviously it comes down to size. A lot of people go in either it's a family, 2 families, or a group of friends. So size is a big factor. But I like, thinking about best locations on the mountain. Obviously Village is really, really special. But then if you look at the Village, we mainly only have condos or maybe townhomes, predominantly condos. If you want that single family home or larger home, you got to sort of be a bit more out. But I mean, even Snow Pines is a great spot. It's only a 10 to 15 minute walk to the Village on a lighted path. It's not that bad.
I've seen this guy walk. He motors.
It's not that bad. Like, I don't mind it.
On the way back, maybe you can slip and slide going up there. I don't know.
It's pretty special that way. And I think having that ski and ski out, that's a major selling point that I love about Big White. You have to walk with your snowboard. You have just to get to the gondola to take you up there, just to go to the chairlift, just to go up. So I think maybe in this whole master plan that we're seeing, there's going to be some of that for sure. But as we stand right now, we don't really have that feeling. That's one thing I love about Big White.
I guess also it's harder if you have kids and stuff too. Like, it's not just carrying your own board.
Yeah, exactly.
Your own skis. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and to that point, yeah, just to be able to go out for like 2 runs or something,
Yeah.
bring your kids back for hot soup, like,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
In terms of like revenue up there, I know it's hard to kind of generalize, but what do you see like best return on investment in terms of, like you said, larger properties with a hot tub? Yeah. Let's kind of break it down a little bit to see if it cash flows.
I mean, it's pretty tricky, just like Kelowna and many other markets for the short-term rental. Big White can be very volatile. It's very up and down. Summer, it's a ghost town, or it was before the bike park in 2017. So you're really making your money in the winter, but you're also competing with now over 600 properties. So it's pretty challenging. If we were to sort of break it down, 1 bedroom, on average, you could assume maybe 25K return. And it doesn't sound great, but you got to keep in mind, a lot of these people may be using it for owner use and they like that flexibility. So their goal is pretty much, okay, let me just try to cover my costs. That's all I sort of want as this investment. Would I recommend Big White as a place where you currently, as it stands with the real estate market as it is it a true investment property where you're trying to get a full cash on cash return? No, personally don't think so. And that's the hard truth. I would never tell an investor that this is a good
investors. If you're listening, earmuffs.
What do you mean? You told me this was a great investment. No, I agree. Kind of always thought that about Big White. Like, I don't think it produces enough cash flow to justify. To me, it feels like it has more legs than some areas in Kelowna for generating revenue. But like, if you're buying a $700,000 place at Big White compared to a $700,000 condo, and like, this is before when we could Airbnb them in Kelowna, I feel that they're actually pretty competitive in terms of the revenue. Are you seeing properties in Kelowna produce better revenue?
That's a good question. I feel like those bigger homes, those are, but given what's happening with the market, they're not going to happen anymore. But those were some really good returns. That's a good question. I think it is pretty comparable, actually.
I guess like you also don't know the purchase price of a lot of people of what they bought in the last couple of years. So it's hard to analyze that. But yeah, like I'm just comparing some $700,000 condos over the last couple of years, and that can be at Aqua, Discovery, Playa, whatever, like all those type of buildings. It's kind of similar. Like you're going to rent it for a long-term rental to a student or something in the winter and then lose a bit of money. And then in the summer, try and recoup that. Yeah. Big White's just kind of the flip of that.
But you can't really get that long-term tenant in this.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the difference. It's still, if you have a downtown condo or in the Lower Mission, Lakeshore, you can still sell that to a student or to a nurse or something like that for 8-month rental or so.
Yeah.
And still make, or at least cover your costs in the off season. And then that's where your revenue is in the summer. Big White, you don't really get that flexibility. And if you do rent it out, it's really not for much in the off season.
I wonder, like, where are all the construction workers going to live?
Well, that's it. You'd probably rent it out. Like, I know clients of mine, when the Moguls building was getting redone, that's what they did. But they didn't intend on that. It just happened. And they were like, oh, great. That's perfect. Yeah, sure. Let's do it. They wouldn't say no to it. So there's that chance of that. But relying on that would say that's a little risky.
Yeah, for sure.
So going back into that 1 bed, gonna say on average, maybe at 25,000, 2 bed, 30 to 40, it's pretty hard to say that. There's a lot of factors, like being amenity rich. Does your building have certain things? Is it a private hot tub or a shared hot tub? Where are you in terms of location, proximity, and just the general feel or aura of the home? If it's not given the competition of over 600 properties online, you have to think more now of why should they pick my unit over, in the same building, that other unit. And you got to start thinking about how to compete with that, or in the same street, because generally speaking, you're going to be competing with houses all around you. And how do I make myself, whether it's price, amenity rich, or decor and photos, things like that. So that's where we try to help with our owners, is trying to help in that way of deciding, okay, what are some cost effective ways to make us stand out, kind of thing.
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about Duval?
Yeah.
And what you guys do to stand out?
Yeah. So we started about 2 years ago, strictly as a short term in Kelowna and Big White, and came out sort of in that aspect, managing short-term rentals, and then went up to Big White. And it was a good excuse for me to go up there. I'm an avid snowboarder, so I love being up there in the winter. So
you should be in sales. You got your partners to agree on that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so I get to be up there. And so we started short-term rentals. Luckily, not knowing what just happened in terms of short-term rentals in the province, we sort of got into the shift of long-term rental property management. We found it to be pretty secure in terms of checking your monthly revenue, like reoccurring revenue. It was a lot safer to be like, okay, let's set a goal here. And like we can get there a lot easier than the volatile market of the short-term rental. Like you look at this summer, the fires, how much money we had to refund for that. You look at our long-term properties that were not affected or in safe areas, there was no refund. There was no issue with our long-term properties. It was all our short-term, and that's where we saw a big hit in our revenue. So that's sort of where that idea came from. But ideally, Big White is where we're going to stay as sort of a name to be and continue operating up there. Like I said, I love it up there. So I'm going to keep working up there and trying as hard as I can to solidify myself.
Yeah. What for you? Where does the name Duval come from?
Duval? I mean, that's a good question. There's three of us. So it's me, Danielle, our operations manager, and Alana, who's my sister-in-law. And the name, it sort of just came, I don't really know how. I know there's a link to the Jaguars in the NFL. There's a big Duval. They say that it's like a play, I think. But I'm not a big football guy, but I honestly don't know how. But in translation, it means up the valley. So valley management.
Oh, cool.
Sort of what it means. So I think it works with sort of what we're offering is valley full service management is the goal.
Yeah. And like you traveled a lot overseas, hey?
Yeah. My dad was in commercial real estate. So he was sort of moving around a lot for his work. So we had to sort of go where the work was. Lived in India, Hong Kong, Shanghai, Sydney, and then back here around 15. I was around 15. It was great. We always had Kelowna as sort of a home base. That's where the family would always get back together and sort of be together. So it was always Kelowna was home. And when we came back here, it felt sort of good. It felt good to be here and finally establish this as a home and focus on it because there was a lot of moving around.
Yeah. Well, we have spoken to some other guests too internationally. And like, what's your view on Kelowna and I guess Big White as like an international city? It seems like it's going the right direction. I mean, do you see it comparable as certain growing cities overseas?
Those cities have a pretty big effect when you're in there. You feel like you're in a big city. It's crazy, the population in Shanghai or Hong Kong, even Sydney, Australia. But I was always proud to say I was from Kelowna, Canada, because it was so unique and it was a lot smaller, even 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've seen massive growth, and I can see why. This is a pretty unique spot. We have those summers and we have those winters where we can go to Big White or Silver Star. I've always loved it. I've loved it for what it was. What it's turning into, we'll see. Who knows, based on the 2040 master plan here. But I love it just the way it is right now and the growth that I'm seeing. I'm happy for it. I'm excited. Apart from the province coming in with this short-term rental regulation, apart from that, everything is pretty boom tickety for me.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when I see the interactive map at Big White, I'm like excited. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But then I guess in the same sense, you're like, yeah, maybe I'll miss the small mountain vibes of like being able to get fresh tracks. And
it's going to be different for sure. It's looking like what their plan is to compete with like a Whistler. And we are the second most visited winter destination in BC.
Is the first Whistler? Yeah.
I would assume so. Actually, I didn't read that, but I assume so.
Yeah.
So we are in contention and we're definitely behind them in many ways. But, looking at the master plan, it does hit you as well. This is going to be big. Do we know if this actually comes to fruition and how soon? Who knows? It's just more there that they get the approval process for this. So they have the flexibility to choose what direction they want to go, is my guess.
What's funny is I saw a map of Big White. I don't know. It was in one of the units we were looking at a few months ago. Should have looked at the year, but it was sometime like say in the 70s. And you look at the map and it's not even recognizable. You're like, oh my God, they had 4 chairlifts or something, really tiny. Like we're talking Snow Pines was only built like 25 years ago, right? Like that's not a huge window. If you look at this thinking, oh, no way in our lifetime they're going to build on this scale. But I mean, in 25 years, they probably already doubled the size of the mountain.
Yeah, I think 25-year time frame, this is very possible. Yeah,
I mean, the growth, you're seeing the growth already. Feathertop, for example, that blew up super quick.
Yeah.
Just the amount of construction up there now. I read something about building permits just in this year for construction up there was around 100 million in cost of construction, which is crazy. I think that's the most growth they've seen to date. And you can see it. You go there in the summer and it's an active construction site everywhere you look. It's pretty cool, but are we going to lose that effect of, that small ski resort? Probably.
Well, I mean, you can't be too small, right? Like, I don't know if you guys remember Crystal Mountain.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I don't.
no? Oh, man. So they had one chair and a tea lift?
Yeah, one chair. And it didn't all end when the chair...
Well, yeah, a chair fell off and
That was the end of it.
broke his back or something. I mean, they're really not at the elevation to get enough snow, but that's where I grew up skiing. It was awesome.
That's on the west.
Yeah, it's just up past Glen Rosa.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess we either...
And what about Kelowna Mountain?
There was a Kelowna Mountain?
Yeah.
I heard about
Oh,
I can't remember his name. But he put up the chairlift to do a ski mountain there. It obviously didn't go anywhere. Nothing
Right.
permanent or anything. But it was tried. Yeah.
There's a lot of risk, I think, but I think Big White's in good hands. It's privately owned. You look at, say, Whistler, previously purchased by Vail Corporation. They buy up resorts left, right, and center. I hope that doesn't happen to Big White. I've heard a lot of pros and cons about a corporation like Vail coming in.
Yeah.
I really, really hope that doesn't happen with Big White, locally owned, and keeps it that way, because I think they have a lot of plans that will do a lot of good for Kelowna, but also Big White itself.
yeah. I'm just bringing up a map of Big White in the 1990s. I'm sorry, but like, no cliff chair, no park chair. Doesn't look like Falcon or Powder were there. Like Snow Ghost, right? Like they've doubled in value or doubled in runs,
Oh, yeah.
I'd say, in the last 25, 30 years. So yeah, I guess they're not far off with this plan.
No, I mean, Falcon Chair, I think, was one of the first.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. I hope it stays.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is ancient. It's scary just hopping on that thing.
Yeah.
On a windy day.
Yeah, when we were in Japan, they had this chairlift. It was like a T-bar, but it was a chairlift. And you basically sat on it, and you couldn't lean back. There was no guard. It was just basically you on this little T-bar hanging 30 feet in the air. Yeah, it was spooky. Any other topics you want to discuss before we jump into our kind of wrap-up round?
If there's investors that are looking to purchase, or not investors, just people looking to purchase a Big White, I think just got to be transparent with them. I don't think, if you're looking for a true return on investment at these prices right now, just looking at them now, just what I've seen on the market, even this morning, one of the first buildings, Ptarmigan Inn, like a 2-bed, 2-bath, nothing much to it. I don't even think it had its own washer and dryer in unit. It was going for just shy of 500,000. That's just what it is right now.
Yeah.
But if you have that ability to purchase a second home or recreational home, have it as, a place that you want to use, but also cover the cost in terms of short-term rental, then by all means, go ahead. I think it's perfect. It checks a lot of boxes. But yeah, is it fully ready with the current prices in terms of bringing that return?
Yeah, it's like a personal investment, but you get a little bit of help to hold it.
Do you do any long-term management up there? Or is it it's all short-term?
No, we've been asked by leads here and there about that, and we're pretty transparent. That's one thing that we really try to focus on with our clients, and just any leads that come our way, is just give them our gut feeling. And I tell them we're open to it. We have the ability to do it, but do I think it will make sense, or do I think it will actually happen? Probably not. But we will try, and we'll do our damn hardest to see. But
like, I don't really see the benefit of going long term up there. Like, you're going to make more money on the short term. And
it depends on the property. I went on a real estate tour a few weeks ago, and I've looked at some of the properties, and some of them, you can see, look, it doesn't have a private hot tub, doesn't have room for that. But can you fit, 16 people in that house?
16 Australians?
Pretty. Yeah. And it's like, okay, this home, it needs a lot of love. Do I put that money into it? No.
Right.
Well, should I just, put as many people as I can in it? Probably. I don't know what that looks like, but there's some homes that are set that way, and it's difficult, right? Because they're avid skiers. If you're purchasing up there, you generally ski or you snowboard. So why take that flexibility away?
Yeah.
So it's challenging, and I feel for those Aussies and the staff up there, because it's brutal.
But Big White did build staff accommodation. Are they not building near Black Forest?
They did. They built 3 buildings, which helped, and then they're currently on the foundation for 2 more.
Yeah.
So they're helping, and that's great to see, but it still just isn't enough. They didn't have this issue before 2020.
Really?
Yeah, it was when 2021 real estate skyrocketed up there. That was when a lot of these long-term rental owners thought, now's my time to sell. And they sold to Airbnb investors, or short-term rental investors, I should say. And that's sort of where you see, I'm not sure if you guys are part of any of those like big white community Facebook groups.
Yeah.
It's just people looking for homes. They're like, I will sleep on the floor. I don't care. Like, it's just, I need a place to stay. And it's pretty sad. But, the investors, they can't afford to do long-term. It's just, unless they pack it in just like that, which isn't ideal either.
Yeah. I've seen some of the comments on there and people are like the Airbnb legislation should also come up here. Like there's, they need to provide staff accommodation. They need to provide long-term housing. And it's like, sure. Like I do have empathy in that situation. That does suck. But in the same turn, like if people weren't coming to visit,
you wouldn't need to have staff.
You would not have a staff. Like it is a resort community. That's all it operates on.
That does not make any sense for up there.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that the mountain is doing something about it. Will it be enough? Who knows? But it does help. So yeah, I think the flexibility is what people like the most about short-term rental, and you don't get that with long-term.
Cool. Yeah, we're going to dive into our wrap-up questions here. If you could purchase a property in the Okanagan in the next year, what would it be?
Probably a big white property.
You just said not to buy a big white property.
For an investment.
Yeah, he's like a reverse whale. He's trying to crash the market up there so he can buy in.
Yeah, it would have to be big white. I love it up there, and I can see, looking at that master plan, there's a lot of growth in the summer, and there's a lot of positive work going on around there. And
yeah,
before the bike park, that place was a ghost town in the summer. It really was.
So where is the bike park? Is it Bullet?
It's Bullet. Yeah,
okay.
It's Bullet.
Is it where the actual terrain park is, or it's just all down?
No, but their like terrain park for the bike is down actually near the tube park.
Oh,
they have all those. I don't know if you've seen all the wood.
Okay.
Things they have there, but it's mainly on Bullet. But I think reading into the master plan, they want to bring it over to Rocket as well. It was another chair, but they want to bring it over that side. So keep expanding on it. I've heard good things about it. Not a big mountain biker.
Yeah, it scares the crap out of me.
If you fall, it hurts.
Broken collarbone for sure.
Well, I'm talking about like biking on a big white. Like skiing's cool. You can bring your kids, go skiing, and like you can stay at easy runs. But I feel like mountain biking is like you're kind of all in.
Yeah. There's more not really downhill gnarly mountain biking. There's just some trails you can go, and they also offer hiking, so you can get up on the chairlift and go hiking up or so cool. That's for the family sort of friendly area. But yeah, it has to be big white.
Nice. All right. What's the best thing you've ever spent money on?
It's probably going to be this season. I'm getting really into backcountry touring. So I'm looking at a split board setup. That's ideally what I'm trying to get into and will be. It's an expensive setup, so I better like it. So that's probably going to be, I'm positive that it'll be my best purchase.
What is a split board?
Split board is for touring. So when you're doing backcountry and you're going uphill, it splits sort of into more or less skis, and you can walk up.
Oh.
And you put your skins on and you can walk up, and then when you get to the top, you can attach it back together to snowboard and then go down.
Oh.
Is there good backcountry from Big White? Like, is that where you want to go from? Or you?
There is good. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things. I know I have a lot of friends in that industry. I have friends that own their own avalanche safety training courses and things like that. So that's also another thing I got to do this season. Yeah, there's some good areas off the back and around that area, but there's also just all over the place, especially off the highway, like Rogers Pass area. Yeah, that's where a lot of people go. And I've heard some really, really good stories, and I just want to be a part of it. But it's also pretty dangerous, so that's why you got to sort of know what you're doing. And I'm going to try to take as many courses as I can.
Yeah,
nice.
What's the best book or quote?
Best book or quote? It's actually from Jerome K. Jerome. It's one that my dad actually was given as a gift a long time ago from a coworker. And it's one that sort of sat with me, and I've always found it to be one that I've thought about. More of a summary of it is, what a boring life it must be for the contented man. I'll read a bit of it, but to the ambitious man, life is a brilliant game, a game that calls forth all his tact and energy and nerve, a game to be won in the long run by the quick eye and the steady hand, and yet having sufficient chance about its working out to give it all the glorious zest of uncertainty. So it's a bit old English. I don't really care for that part, but I just like someone that is ambitious, someone that wants to go out there, that's the kind of life I want to live, is one that you're taking risks and not the one that is being pessimistic and really not the one to take a risk or take a chance on certain things.
Yeah. Well, you took a risk on us coming on the podcast. No, I like that.
None of us are contented.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, brother. 'Tis the season. What is a charity of choice you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, just to keep it, in the spirit of Big White, Elevation Outdoors. They do a lot of things for kids and sort of, that can't afford to do things like mountain biking or like skiing.
Yeah.
And they help bring that to, kids that can. They think they should not be denied.
Yeah, I love that.
So it's great. Yeah, it happens at Big White. You see them. That's one that I like to see. And it's great because it's showing them a lot of a sport that they may not even consider doing, and that's something to look forward to or work towards.
Where is it based?
I believe it's in Kelowna.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, I feel like I saw this a couple of years ago and I think that's awesome. How can our listener best connect with you, support Duval? Yeah, what are you kind of looking for?
Mainly through our website. We try to make it pretty direct with how to get in contact with me. You can book a call on my calendar, 30-minute call to just talk about whatever, whether it's a question or you have a property that you're looking at, you want to sort of get some, general questions answered, or you have a property that you're looking to us to manage. So just through the website, duvalpm.com.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, we'll put some notes in the show notes for interactive map and everything like that. And yeah, thanks for sharing. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
Okay. Enjoy the season up there.
Thanks for listening to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast. Be sure to reach out and let us know how else we can add value to your Kelowna real estate journey. Please show some support by hitting the like, share, and subscribe button. This is sponsored by Matt Glenn Real Estate and Taylor at Venture Mortgages.